Hey guys, what's going on? Happy day. What am I going to say? Oh yeah. Have you noticed that there's no change? Like the change is dwindling because it looks like somebody's taking it out. How does the change just disappear, right? Have you heard of the farmers that are being told to dump their milk? Have you heard of the supply chain of food being broken? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Have you heard that now there's certain countries that are starving even more? And you know, you can write it off and be like, oh, well, starvation happens every year, which is true. But now because of the COVID situation, now even more people are starving in greater numbers because, you know, they're not able to get aid or their crops are being ruined. It's devastating, and it just seems like it is still part of the NWO agenda to diminish the world. So in some instances, their plan is still working. They're still depleting the amount of people that are on Earth, okay? So, I mean, don't think that this shit can't come to America. Don't get cocky. We've been blessed for so long that, you know, my friend called me the other day and she was like, I was up last night and I was looking at all these videos in third world countries of people starving, and she was just like, I got so depressed. So of course, naturally, I was like, let me look at those videos too, because obviously I wanted to be depressed as well. But not really, but that's what happens. You know, I think a lot of people block this out, but as optimistic as I try and be, I also try and be a realist and look at other things that are going on that maybe aren't so good. And then when I get in that place of like feeling despair, I try and look at the good things. So I try and keep a balance of things going on, or balance of things to look at that's going on in the world. You know, we are in a spiritual war. I always say that. I think there are white hats. I think there are good people that are trying to fight against this evil, but the evil's not going to back up. So they're still going to go ahead with their plan. Okay. I don't know where we're going to end up. I just had an amazing interview with G. Edward Griffin, and he put it perfectly. He was basically saying that, like, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm optimistic on one hand because I see a lot of people waking up. But on the other hand, I see the control grid trying to rise and clamp down with the amount of people waking up. And he was like, I think that we're going to have the resolution in my lifetime. And he called himself an old fuddy or an old duddy. I think he was like, I'm an old duddy. But he goes, I see it happening pretty soon within the next 2 years or few years or whatever. So, so yeah, I mean, you know, just take that in consideration. The most valuable thing right now to have, I believe, are like-minded people. So, you know, I interviewed Ben Stewart, who created Esoteric Agenda, and he was basically saying, you know, back in his 20s, he was trying to wake people up, and now he's just like, I'm not even trying to do that anymore. I'm trying to engage with my tribe, okay? Which is like where I'm at right now. I am trying to wake people up, but I have a channel, but I'm also trying to empower the people that are already here with knowledge, with information. So either they can help wake other people up, or it can just empower their tribe and their thinking, you know, more, their resources more. Yeah, I think that, I think, you know, that's the path. And if you don't have anybody that's around you trying to reach out to other people that are, you can start a group, a social media group in your area. I mean, one of the reasons I've started this channel, which started with the podcast of my best friend, we started it really because we just needed somebody to talk to. I mean, we need somebody to talk to, and we just wanted to share this information with other people because we just thought it was a travesty that this information was not getting out, information that could empower people and change the world. And, you know, we're just like, well, why don't people know this? We'll just put it on our Facebook wall. Duh, and then people will know. Duh. And then we got exiled and ridiculed and, you know, lambasted and all this stuff that, you know, being naive at that point, we had no idea. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, whether it's, you know, I would recommend, if you can, start your own channel. You know, you start your own channel, you get used to it, just rant. You know, I think the most beautiful thing about social media, it has its downside, but the most beautiful thing about social media is that people can just upload a video on their phone like that. So I love, you know, getting people's opinions anywhere from teachers to garbage men to truck drivers to doctors to actors to children to men, women, all races, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all nationalities, anywhere around the world, right? So we're not fighting against that mainstream narrative that used to have control, and that's another way, you know, to fight in this war. Right? Like I said, I believe the white hat, I think there are people that are trying to save this country and save this world. I know that there are people, I know there are people that are trying to do that, okay? But I don't believe in just being like, oh, nothing can stop what's coming. Just relax, man. Like, Trump's gonna take care of it. Yeah, I think maybe, but he's also just one dude. He doesn't know everything. He's not all powerful. He's not all knowing. He's not omnipotent. He's not omniscient, okay? So, like, we're gonna have to pick up the extra weight and somehow, if you're not used to, if you're afraid to show your face and make a video, there are people that have made it work, and, you know, they have channels, they have successful channels where they talk about their opinion and they spread knowledge, and you don't even know what they look like. You know, figure that out. If you don't want to do video, why don't you write? I'm sure somebody is good at something, okay? Or you support people that are doing it. But if you can support people that are doing it and you can do something too, I mean, do as much as you can. What can you do, right? Can you write articles and share them with people? Can you, what else can you do? You can write articles, you can do videos, you can, you know, do art. Are you a good artist? Could you do art? Art and music, man. Art and music. I had this kid, if he's watching, hello. I love your art, man. It cracked me up. It's awesome. It's awesome. And, you know, I'm going to actually get back into, or I have gotten back into my music. Art and music are, to me, some of the most powerful tools to fight in this war. This is why the Illuminati is all up in Hollywood. It's a powerful way to control people of all around the world, right? Globally, because we, no matter what language we speak, we recognize music. Music and art, symbolism, colors, sounds. Sounds is frequency, is energy. Music, you know, art speaks to our soul, right? Symbols, colors, you know, it speaks to our spirit. It's a way to communicate with people without even knowing, having a lingua franca in common. So if you can work it with your art or your music, dude, like do that, okay? You send people information. I love it. Thank you for all the people that send me videos and send me links and stuff. It's starting to become very overwhelming, so I can't respond back all the time now, and I can't, you know, I can't watch everything, and a lot of stuff I've already seen, but I don't care. Like, just take the risk. If I've already seen it, I'm not going to be like, I saw that already, whatever. Like, I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm glad that you sent that to me, but I saw that, you know, that's fine. But I just, you know, I appreciate that. Who else? Support other channels. How are you going to fight? What is your way of fighting? You know, what is your way? Everybody, this is our fight. It's not just the white hat fight. It's our fight as humans. It's a human being. It's a human issue. It's an issue that's, you know, all over the world. They're trying to take over the world. As dramatic as that sounds to some people, I might even have some friends that are watching that are like, this bitch is going crazy. But they're just blind. They don't see. It's a worldwide domination issue. How are you going to help save the world? This is our fight. It's not for us to sit back on our laurels and, you know, just hope that somebody in the white hats are doing a great job. They need our help. They need, you know, in any way possible. Prayer. I believe in prayer. I believe in meditation. I believe in directed energy, whether good or negative. You know, I pray for a lot of my friends that are having issues right now in their families, because this corona thing has really ripped a lot of families and relationships apart. I pray for the president, you know, whether you like him or not. Like, God forbid if something were to happen to him, it's gonna, like, geez, I mean, it's gonna be like, whew, you know. I pray for a resolution, a fast resolution. I also spend time what do you call it? Kind of visualizing like I think I said this in another video where I'm like, okay, I have some war games that I've like, scenarios that I've, you know, kind of pictured out in my mind. I'm starting to grow a little food, I have some food stock, I have, you know, how am I gonna protect myself? How am I gonna, where my friends are, you know, how do I have them, like water, maps, filters, you know, things like that. I'm not saying be naive and just, you know, think that everything's gonna be okay. But after all that's done, I've been visualizing how I want this to go, how I want the future to be. Because after this rough spot that we're going through, I know that may be an understatement, but what's gonna happen? Are we going to be in fucking Skynet where they're, you know, they have driverless cars and everybody's being tracked and we have chips in us, or are we gonna turn this thing around and be freer than we've ever been before? Or is the control grid going to be exposed? Are the globalists going to be exposed worldwide, right? Because now with the whole Corona thing, now everybody's like, it's gonna be, this shit falls down, it's gonna fall down all over the world, not just in the US. But if the US goes, it's gonna go all the way around the world. Like the US is the last bastion of hope. And I used to think that, you know, when people would say that, I'm like, oh, that's arrogant. There are other countries that are just as good as America. But because of our philosophy, because of our Constitution, you know, we really are the last stand. And I'm looking at Australia and God, I had an Australian boyfriend like almost a decade ago. And had that worked out, I probably would be in Australia. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful it didn't work out. Because I probably would have been there. I was considering moving to Australia. Anyway, but Australia gave up their guns. Australia gave up their guns, and then after that, you know, they forced mandatory vaccination. You can't get welfare benefits unless you get vaccinated. I think you have to go, if you want to go to school, you have to get vaccinated. They demonize anti-vaxxers. They won't let any doctors that are criticizing vaccination, that lecture to other doctors, they won't let them in the country. They won't let David Icke in the country. They, you know, they created arson by creating, I'm going to say it's arson. I'm just going to call it what it is. They fucking burned down like half of Australia with those fires purposely to get people off of their land so they can, you know, import their bitch ass Agenda 21 cities. If y'all have any Australians that are watching, please let me know what's going on there. I have a friend I'm gonna reach out to soon that's there. I don't really know a lot of people in Australia, but I'm just curious. Somebody sent guns to Australia like today, okay? Like they need guns. They need guns like ASAP. And I saw something where they caught a bunch of guns that were being shipped in and they got caught. And I was like, damn! I was so mad. I was like, the people need those guns. But that's what, like, they've been trying to get guns. Like, we're lucky we have guns. We have military here that's very strong. You know, we're blessed to have that. We still have a lot of fertile land. We still have a lot of people that know how to farm here. There are things that they're trying to take away from us to make us weak. And with Australia, you know, they've taken away a lot of their land and burned a lot, you know, those fires. I think I've heard, I know it sounds like a far-fetched figure, but it was like 1 billion animals were killed. Like over 1 billion animals were killed. That just makes me so sad too. Like I love animals and it broke my, people and animals, of course, you know, but I mean, animals, you know, I mean, how are, you know, their ecosystem is messed up now. Australia has, you know, it's very diverse in their land. I think they have a lot of, they have one of the most diverse continents as far as like ecology in plants and animals in the world. So it just broke my heart to hear that. But these assholes are fucking straight from hell. That's what they want. They want to burn up the animals. They want to kill people. They want to kill animals. They want to terraform our land so they can live on it. The demons, it's gonna be like demon land. Like no trees. Everything's gonna be artificial. It's all gonna be fucking electronics and, you know, 5G and RFD and RFID and, you know, all this shit. Right? It will be inhabitable for us, right? They want to transform us, you know. Some people were saying like the mass was is a way, you know, it's like a ritual. It's a transformation ritual. I instinctually did not want to wear it even before I learned about that, but now that I've been thinking about it, I'm like, it's true. I see it. And then it's like, when this vaccine comes out, you know, it's gonna, admittedly, they're admitting this, that it's gonna alter our DNA. Now, regular vaccines already do that, but in a slower process. But I think this one, what they have planned, and if Celeste, whatever her name is, she worked in the military, her name was Celeste Solis, I think, was talking about that they want to put this nano gel in it, that once you get injected, it's like, no, like you're not going to be human anymore. So it's really creepy. Because at least, you know, with the vaccines, they're terrible. They, you know, you can get autoimmune diseases and cancer and all these other horrible things, but you're still human. But to think about the possibility where you get injected with these things and you're not even like human anymore, like that terrifies the hell out of me. So, you know, and I think before they try and force, you know, if go door to door, they're going to try and coerce people into doing it by like threatening them by fining them, or saying that they can't fly, or saying that they can't, you know, do certain things without getting a vaccine. And the people that know that they're kind of bad, but they don't know how bad it is, they're going to be talked into doing that. In Argentina, they already do that. You can't get your driver's license or your passport updated until you get your vaccination card updated. Like, it's crazy, right? I think they're doing it somewhere else. I know for Argentina they're doing that. And if you're out and about in Argentina and like you get pulled over by a cop and they ask for your vaccination records and you don't have it, they can like vaccinate you or go and take you and get vaccinated. That's scary as hell, okay? That shit ain't happening here. That ain't happening. Because we have our guns! That's what they're trying to take away, our guns. But sadly to say too, it's creepy with some of the technology they're trying to implement. Maybe our guns won't work as well or at all, you know, if they get their way with all, you know, the other stuff. But they've been trying to get America's guns. I think, you know, it's been said, I don't know what the percentage is, but basically America is our own standing army with our guns, with the citizens. And the more, you know, craziness happens, the more gun sales go up. So people, even liberals that are just like, oh, guns are bad, now they're like, you know, packing now. So, you know, I think that's an important thing to note. Another thing, I'm working on this course and I was like, God, I want to do this video so bad. But I'm rereading this book called Dissolving Illusions by Dr. Virstyne Henry and Roman Bystrianic, who's also a computer scientist. And they wrote this book together, compiling data and studies and old newspaper articles. You know, back in the day, they used to, you know, just like we have social media now with the news, or we have like Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. So back in the day, they had, you know, pamphlets. Pamphlets would probably be like close to social media. They had newspapers. They had, you know, and they had prominent people in society that would go and talk, and that's how they spread information around. And, you know, and back then it was like either the president or the king or the queen, you know, like the sources of power that people would defer to. But I'm doing some research on smallpox, and which is very interesting, was there's so many doctors that at the time, documented historically, okay, that were speaking out against the smallpox vaccine, because they act like, they're like, you know, you hear people that when you criticize vaccines, they're like, what about smallpox? What about polio? Dude, you don't even know. So there was a situation where tons of doctors in the medical industry, they were, you know, either for it or they knew it was bad from the beginning, and they were coming out, writing in medical journals, writing in newspapers, same shit, different decade, different century, right? Where they would just be ridiculed by the people in power. They would be, you know, and the doctors then, they called it a form of surgery. They were well paid to promote vaccination by the king and queen, okay? And then it got to a point where people actually started getting sick from the smallpox vaccine, and people started resisting. So what they did was they either fined them or they jailed them if they didn't vaccinate it. And there was a huge uprising, okay? So it's the same shit. Just like the frontline doctors, same shit. They basically, didn't publish their findings or didn't let people know about it, or, try to ridicule them, had a PR campaign to discredit them. Back in the day, it was just other newspapers that were more powerful, that overpowered the smaller newspapers that, shut these people up. It's very fascinating, right? But of course, they just erase that history. And all we see now of smallpox is like pictures of people that have smallpox. And if you didn't know about how bad vaccines are, you'd be like, yeah, give me that shit. I want 5. Like, smallpox looks so horrible. You're like, hell yeah, I want a vaccine. But they don't tell us about the other stuff. They don't tell us about actually more people that were vaccinated. Like, those people that were probably the pictures that we saw of smallpox were probably vaccinated, okay? It wasn't that, it was a very rare disease, and where it caused widespread, but became widespread because people started getting vaccinated for it. Okay, this is documented. You should really get that book. Oh, I don't have it around me, but Dissolving Illusions. My first priority right now is really finishing this course, and then after that, I really am going to do a video called, about smallpox. I'm going to do some research and stuff. You can also Google Dr. Suzanne Humphrey smallpox, and if her lecture is still up, you can watch her lecture, but you should also get that book. It's a valuable source of information, for real. If you can get that book and watch that lecture, that would be great. Also, what you can do is, if you go to my playlist, I have a mini movie called Are We Being Told the Truth About Polio? And I did a mini movie talking about Elizabeth Kinney, who's basically the hydrochloroquine of the 1950s, as I would say. And she basically was curing people from polio. It was well known. She had a biopic made about her. President Roosevelt knew about her when she was invited for the White House. She had an 80% success rate, okay? And what she would do, she would use hot baths, and she so after like you were detox, which I believe, according to the data now, that people that were paralyzed were either being paralyzed by the vaccine afterwards, but before that it was like Paris Green and DDT. So it would make sense if she were to detox people. You're basically having your pores sweat out the toxins, right? The poison that you've, and you look at those old videos where they would just spray, the streets with the truck, and the kids would be running behind it, and the DDT, and they put the DDT in wallpaper and in people's sandwiches and shit, and it was crazy. So they would get paralyzed, they would get detox, and then she would just retrain the muscles. I actually have some footage of her and her methods, some video footage. I found some video footage of her showing, like she would do these exercises with the kids and stuff. 80% success rate, okay? But of course, they just erased her from history, discredited her, right? They act like that they were gonna do something where they were gonna implement her methods, nationwide, but they basically set her up to fail. And there were people that benefited. If you ever watched, Alan Alda actually is on record saying that he had polio, and because of her methods, he was able to get back to normal. So they knew this shit. There's a lot of cures that they know. They just fucking erase it from history, and then they show us iron lungs. Okay. And by the way, that huge room where you see everybody in the iron lungs, that was actually staged. And I'm saying that because the historical picture site where I found it from, says it was staged. And I'm also saying that because if you look at the picture, there are no plugs in. They're not plugged in, okay? So, yeah, they staged it for the March of Dimes because they did a propaganda movie, like having people to collect their dimes to, what am I trying to say? To raise money for polio victims. And they shot footage of people in iron lungs and all this other stuff to make it like people like, oh, scared. And they also had a lot of celebrities come out. Seemed very familiar, right? Like they had Lucille Ball and Ella Fitzgerald and Nat King Cole. And, and then they had to put it in Disney cartoons. They had all these celebrities to come out and talk about like, oh, the dangers of polio. Now, I'm not saying that, and it's the same shit kind of like now, where I'm not saying that people didn't get sick. If you have a grandma or somebody that, you know, or grandpa that had polio. I'm not saying that they're lying or they're making it up and people weren't paralyzed and sick, but what I am saying, it wasn't because of a virus. Just like now, right? Seem familiar, right? So if somebody is, you know, you can sue a chemical plant and a chemical company for making people become paralyzed, but you can't sue a virus. It's force majeure. So it's the same shit. It's the same shit. They just erase it, and, you know, and then we're like, oh, iron lungs, oh my God, we don't want that to happen. And then, you know, ta-da. So it's the same scam they've been running forever. But I'm working on compiling that a little bit too, kind of comparing those things. And same thing with the Spanish flu. I caveat, you know, a bunch of the military was vaccinated. Militaries that weren't, they didn't get the Spanish flu. I'm just saying, you know. So yeah, so check out that video. Are we being told the truth about polio? Same stuff. Please join my email list. Like if I go away, if I'm just like, whoa, no channel, and then, but if you join my email list, I'll be like, hey guys, I'm over here, and then we can reunite it, and it feels so good. Like we could, you know, so we can keep in touch with each other. PayPal, Patreon, Subscribe Star, PO Box, all that stuff. Join all my other channels. Working on the course. I'm very excited. And God, I think that's it. This went way too long, but I'm only making a couple videos this week. So I will see you later tonight, you guys, at 4 p.m. Talk to you later. Peace and love. Bye-bye. Mwah.